The alarms began as a low tremor, barely audible, almost hesitant, before rising into a continuous, metallic wail that washed across the United Terran Command spire. The sound carried a weight no officer wished to interpret. Commander Aria Holt stepped through the sliding doors of the deep void monitoring hall just as the primary viewport dimmed. Stars faded behind a rising veil of shadow. A technician near the rail swallowed hard. "Commander, the horizon just blackened. The gate's unstable." Aria kept her voice level. "Put it on full spectrum." The viewport fractured into layered holograms as Proxima Gate filled the chamber. The once calm wormhole twisted violently. Space rippled like torn fabric under pressure from something immense behind it. Then, one by one, signatures burst through, at first dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Each carried the same unmistakable profile, Varnok Dominion Warform holes. The hall fell silent, save for the steady hum of scanning arrays counting ships until the tally stopped feeling real. 11,400 vessels, the technician whispered. "That's not a raid. It's an extinction line." Aria's expression did not shift, though her pulse tightened. The Dominion had returned. The promise made generations ago, "We will come again, and humanity will kneel," was no longer a memory etched in history logs. It had stepped into the light. "Transmit assessment to the Council," she ordered. "Full alert on all colonies. Projected arrival into Sol? 9 cycles at current speed. Too soon. Not enough time for diplomacy or preparation. And certainly not enough time to pretend Earth was still the gentle civilization the galaxy had come to believe it was." As the officers relayed information, a deep, resonant tone replaced the alarms. A Dominion broadcast forced its way into Earth's secure channels. The hologram formed with violent static, then resolved into the towering emerald figure of Overlord Kavorak. His mandibles were adorned with ceremonial medals, his armor shifted with pulsing veins of energy. "Humans," he began, his voice cracking like heavy stone. "Your defiance centuries ago earned you one reprieve. You squandered it. This time, there will be no mercy. Earth will surrender or be reshaped into ash." Aria folded her hands behind her back. "Overlord Kavorak, Earth acknowledges your message. We decline your offer." Some officers turned to her in shock, but she didn't break eye contact with the hologram. "Your species is bold, or foolish," Kavorak growled. "You have 3 cycles to accept Dominion authority. Fail, and your skies will burn." The broadcast cut with a vibrating crack. The viewport brightened again, revealing the growing blur of metal drifting from the gate. "Commander, what do we do?" Lieutenant Rios asked quietly. "The arrays show the fleet spans half an astronomical unit." Aria drew a slow breath. "We prepare. And we do it without panic." But panic was already running through half the upper floors of the command spire. She walked with measured strides to her private console chamber, ignoring the hushed speculation trailing behind her. "We're outnumbered. We're finished. Command will surrender." Inside, the room dimmed into a deep blue glow. Secure walls sealed, and holograms hovered around her like suspended glass sheets. She entered an authorization code known only to 3 humans alive. The console responded with a heavy metallic click. Aria's throat tightened. Her father's voice had first told her this vault existed. 2 nights before he died in the First Varnok War, he had whispered, "If they ever return, Earth cannot stand unarmed. Remember where we hide our storms." She opened the oldest file. A message appeared, not data, not diagrams. A face. Her father, younger than she remembered, eyes sharp, uniform scorched. "Aria," he said softly, "if you're seeing this, the Dominion has returned. What we built is buried for a reason. But if humanity is threatened with extinction again, you must awaken it. The old fury isn't a weapon. It is a warning made real." The file ended. Aria exhaled, steady but shaken. The old fury protocol. The fleets built after humanity's darkest war. The fleets sealed away because they were too powerful, too destructive, too symbolic of what humans became when cornered. Still, the Varnok Armada marching through Proxima Gate was not a threat Earth could face with diplomacy or standard forces. The decision no longer felt like strategy. It felt like inevitability. Her console flashed again. Council requests presence, priority 1. Aria walked into the council chamber where 12 representatives sat beneath a curved skylight offering a faint view of Earth's atmosphere. Anxiety clung to the room. Councillor Davin began, "Commander Holt, we've reviewed your assessment. The Dominion fleet is overwhelming. Our diplomatic channels suggest negotiation." Aria forced herself to remain composed. The Dominion does not negotiate. They devour. If we surrender, they enslave or annihilate us. They do not honor treaties with species they consider inferior. Councillor Saran leaned forward. Earth has rebuilt itself. We are peaceful. The galaxy sees us as stable contributors. We cannot reveal old programs. It could reignite fear. Fear is not our concern, Aria replied. Survival is. A murmur spread through the chamber. You're recommending activation, Davin said, tone sharp. I'm recommending we face reality. 11,000 ships are coming to erase us. We do not win with soft words. The chamber screens flickered, another incoming Dominion message. Without permission, the hologram of Kavorik towered over the council table. You hide behind your broken history, he taunted. Your peace is an illusion. Your weakness is truth. Kneel, or I will carve Earth into dust. Aria stepped forward. Overlord, turn your fleet around. You're approaching something you do not understand. Humans have nothing left that can frighten the Dominion. Then you have already made your first mistake. A ripple of confusion crossed his features. Before he could reply, Aria terminated the feed. Davin glared. Commander, that was reckless. No, Aria said calmly. That was the final warning he will ever receive. Silence settled. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Saran whispered, what exactly do you intend to awaken? Aria didn't answer immediately. Her gaze drifted through the glass ceiling toward the faint shimmer of stars. Earth buried certain fleets after the first wars, she said. Fleets built for no other purpose than ending invasions like this. They've slept for centuries. But they were never dismantled. You want to bring them back? Davin asked, horrified. I want humanity alive, Aria answered. If we refuse to wake what we once were, then we will not survive what comes. The council exchanged uncertain glances. No one wanted the responsibility of approving a plan that could reshape the galaxy's balance forever. Yet no one could deny the truth burning through the screens. The Dominion Armada was already accelerating. Finally, Saran nodded. Commander Holt, you have conditional authority. Use it wisely. Aria bowed her head in acknowledgement. When she left the chamber, the pressure of the coming war pressed into her chest, but her resolve did not waver. She paused by a window overlooking Earth. Cities glimmered peacefully, unaware of the storm approaching. Softly, to no one, she whispered, if the Dominion insists on awakening the past, they will face what we buried. The old fury waited for her command. And the stars trembled. The night cycle over Earth arrived without stars. The defense grid shimmered across the sky like a vast, translucent dome responding to distant gravitational disturbances. Reports from deep space posts indicated the Dominion fleet had already cleared Proxima's outer markers and was accelerating through the void with unwavering precision. Commander Aria Holt stood at the balcony rail of the Geneva Spire, reviewing casualty projections. If the Dominion reached Inner Sol, the outcome was catastrophic, total planetary loss within hours. She minimized the file. Numbers alone could not dictate the coming decision. The old Fury protocol existed because humanity once learned the price of hesitation. A soft knock on the glass door behind her. Lieutenant Rios stepped in, holding a tablet close to his chest. Commander, evacuation progress from major cities is underway. but shelters weren't designed for a planetary attack of this scale. People are scared. Aria nodded once. They have every reason to be. But fear doesn't make the enemy stronger. Or us weaker. Rios hesitated, then lowered his voice. I also received a request from Counselor Saran. She wants reassurance that you're not activating anything irreversible. Aria's expression remained composed. Irreversible becomes relative when a fleet that size intends extermination. Rios exhaled slowly. Understood. Her console blinked with a secure link. Phase I authorization ready. Aria walked toward the command lift without another word. The lift descended into the deeper layers of the spire, the restricted sectors filled with steel corridors, reinforced vaults, and humming conduits carrying energy from Earth's core reactors. Few officers had ever stepped here. Most didn't know these levels existed. At the final threshold, the system scanned her biometrics and unlocked the circular chamber housing Earth's dormant control network. An ancient interface rose from the floor, its surface smooth and glass-like, covered in symbols no contemporary database recognized. Her father's voice echoed in memory, old systems answer only to us. The enemies who made us build these weapons will fear the day they light up again. Aria placed her hand on the surface. She hesitated, not from doubt, but from the weight of implications. Once awakened, the Black Fleets would not retreat into obscurity again. They would remind the galaxy why humanity secured its independence through fire. She spoke clearly. Proceed. A vibration passed through the chamber as dormant systems activated with a slow, rising pulse. Layers of magnetic locks disengaged. Energy surged through long-sealed conduits buried deep inside Earth's crust. Then, as though answering a centuries-old summons, a fleet hidden across asteroids, hollowed moons, and disguised deep void structures began to awaken. Asteroid K-47, Outer Belt. Massive stone slabs slid apart, releasing ancient armor plates cloaked in dust. Beneath them, black metal vessels powered on, exhaling waves of blue plasma. Fortress Helion, Neptune's shadow. Engines older than most current species roared to life, vibrating through the void. 1,000 silent ships rotated, aligning into formation. Warden Array, hidden in Orc cloud ice. Weapons the Council believed long dismantled glowed with a dangerous, cold intensity. Earth trembled at the rebirth of what it had buried. Rio's voice emerged through Aria's earpiece, breathless. Commander, reports are coming from every defense post. They say asteroid citadels are opening. Ships, thousands of them, are emerging. Is that us? Yes, she answered quietly. Ours. And older than any living human. Incredible, he whispered. Terrifying, but incredible. The lift carried her back towards Central Command. When she stepped into the main chamber, every officer stared at the holographic projection of the Black Fleets. The image showed a storm of vessels, sleek and obsidian, forming patterns of impossible symmetry. They moved with unnerving silence. General Morrow, the oldest active duty officer, leaned on his cane, shaking his head. I thought these things were myths. Aria stood beside him. History often hides its sharpest truths. He studied her closely. If the Dominion realizes what you've awakened, they'll either retreat or strike harder. Retreat isn't in their doctrine, she replied. But fear will be. On the opposite side of the chamber, a communication officer called out, Commander, Dominion scouts have detected activation signals. They're broadcasting inquiries to their flagship. Aria expected that. The Dominion interpreted unknown threats as challenges, not warnings. Moments later, the main screen changed to the tense, flickering visage of a Varnok intelligence officer. Human Commander, the alien hissed, our sensors detect energy spikes across your system. Identify them. Aria remained unshaken. No. The alien bristled. You obstruct Dominion authority. Your actions will force Overlord Kavorak to accelerate extermination. He already chose that path. The communication cut abruptly. Rios approached her station, lowering his voice. Should we increase defenses around Mars and Luna? No. They'll bypass both. The Dominion cares only about Earth. She tapped the console, highlighting the predicted invasion route. And we want them to follow this path. You want them close? He asked, startled. Close enough that when the singularity net fires, there's no chance of escape. He stared at her. The Council won't like that. The Council made its decision when they gave me authority. Rios swallowed. Understood, Commander. Outside the spire's windows, the night sky brightened as dozens of Black Fleet vessels passed silently beneath the clouds on their way toward deep space. Earth's population had no idea what they were witnessing. To them, it looked like meteors streaking across the atmosphere. Aria's console flashed again, Phase 2 armament prepared. Awaiting final authorization. A voice behind her interrupted her focus. Commander Holt, General Morrow said softly, once this begins, there's no veil left. The galaxy will learn what we kept hidden. Aria met his gaze. Better they learn than attend our funeral. Minutes later, an emergency alert blinked across every station. Dominion fleet has crossed the outer boundary, an officer reported. Estimate 7 cycles to Neptune. Their spearhead formation is solid. No attempts at negotiation. Aria nodded. She expected nothing less. The Dominion believed Earth incapable of meaningful resistance. They saw the Black Fleets as relics, not threats. Let them come, she said. The room stiffened, not in fear, but in realization. Humanity wasn't preparing for defense. It was preparing for the precise moment to strike. She turned toward the strategic display. 1,000 markers representing the Dominion's armada drifted slowly toward Sol. Tens of thousands more followed behind like an interstellar tide. The scale should have been overwhelming. Instead, Aria felt clarity sharpen inside her. The fleets she awakened were silent, patient, unyielding. They did not threaten. They promised finality. Rios approached one last time. Commander, will this work? Aria watched the sweeping motion of the incoming armada. Yes. And the Dominion will learn why our ancestors swore never to wake these ships again. Her console chimed with the final status confirmation. The Dominion armada moved closer, unaware of the trap tightening around them, unaware that humanity had already stepped out of the era of peace it cherished. Aria whispered to herself, almost a vow, if they seek to end us, then let them judge the storm we become. The old fury continued to awaken, and the void began to shift. The countdown toward annihilation had begun. The Dominion armada entered the outer system as a single, unbroken wave of metal stretching across millions of kilometers. Their engines carved bright scars through the darkness, signaling unstoppable advance. Every listening post from Neptune to Jupiter reported the same wordless message, they are coming. Commander Aria Holt stood at the center of the Terran command spire as the holographic system map updated. Thousands of red signatures now drifted past Neptune's orbit, maintaining ruthless formation. Estimated time to firing range? Aria asked. 43 minutes, Lieutenant Rios replied. Their lead destroyers are spreading into a spearhead. Aria studied the pattern. The Dominion always struck with mathematical aggression, overwhelming force, narrow formation, zero hesitation. Their doctrine left no room for caution. Good. Caution would have saved them. Deep in the void behind Earth, the Black Fleets held position in absolute silence. Their obsidian hulls absorbed light until they appeared carved from emptiness itself. They moved only when Aria commanded, each motion precise, coordinated, terrifying. A communications officer spoke from the upper deck. Commander, incoming broadcast from the Dominion flagship. Aria nodded. The chamber dimmed, replaced by the towering projection of Overlord Kavorak. His emerald eyes gleamed with triumph. Humanity has delayed the inevitable, he declared. Your relics are curiosities, not weapons. Your world will fall. Aria kept her voice measured. Turn back. Kavorak bared serrated teeth. You hide behind ancient machines you do not comprehend. The Dominion faces you with strength earned over centuries of conquest. You will learn your place now. You already misjudged us, Aria said. This ends differently than you believe. Before Kavora could respond, she severed the link. General Morrow stepped beside her. He thinks the old fleets were symbolic. He doesn't understand what they were built to do. Aria inhaled slowly. He will. The system clock pulsed a warning. Rios leaned forward. Commander, the Dominion is entering the Singularity Net threshold. Black fleets are awaiting final authorization. Aria raised her hand. The chamber acknowledged her gesture, screens shifting into tactical alignment. The Singularity nodes, microscopic gravity generators, formed a silent constellation behind the Dominion line. No Varnok sensor detected them. Their frequencies existed beyond conventional spectrums. The trap was perfect. Aria spoke with unflinching clarity. Prepare for full activation. A controlled tension swept the chamber. Officers straightened. Monitors synchronized. The entire Terran defense network bent its attention to one moment. Rios whispered, "Commander, this is it." Aria nodded. "Execute." The lights dimmed. The system hummed. A vast pulse surged through unseen channels as the Singularity Net came alive. In the void, gravity twisted. The first Dominion destroyer buckled before sensors registered the disturbance. Its central hull compressed inward as though an invisible fist drove through metal and bone. The ship folded in on itself, vanishing into a pinprick of distorted light before erupting into cascading shards. On adjacent screens, more vessels collapsed, dozens at once, then hundreds. Gravity wells no larger than molecules tore through armor, slicing formations apart with nightmarish precision. Rios stared, breath caught. They're being erased. Aria didn't blink. Continue firing. The black fleets advanced. Their engines burned like silent storms, weaving between collapsing Dominion lines. They moved with absolute coordination, ancient code guiding each vessel as if a single will controlled them. The Dominion attempted a counterstrike. Plasma lances fired blindly into the dark, striking nothing. Their formations fractured by the second. Rear ships collided with those in front. Frigates spun out of control as gravity anchors malfunctioned. Kavorak's flagship, Colossus V, reeled under the sudden chaos. Internal systems flickered. Dozens of officers shouted in panic. Within the Terran spire, the hologram of the flagship pulsed erratically. "Commander," an officer said, "Dominion command channels are collapsing. They're calling for coordinated retreat, but the fleet is too spread out." Aria watched the screen as the flagship's aft hull groaned under spatial stress, half its form shimmering as though dissolving. "Patch me through to Kavorak," she ordered. The hologram reappeared, no longer triumphant. Now his mandibles twitched with disbelief. "What have you unleashed?" he roared. "This power, this abomination, it should not exist." Aria stepped closer to the projection. "You wish to see what we hid. Now you understand why it was hidden. You dare wield such force? You claim to be civilized." "We sought peace," Aria said. "You forced awakening." Kavorak's eyes widened as another gravitational rupture tore through his fleet. "Cease your attack. Withdraw your net." "You brought an armada to our home," Aria replied. "You demanded surrender." Another rupture shook the projection. Sparks flew behind him. Officers crashed into consoles. "Human! You will regret." The transmission dissolved as Colossus V lost structural stability. "Commander," Rios said quietly, "the flagship is failing." "Keep pressure on the center line," she said. "No escape vectors." One by one, Dominion ships vanished. Some were crushed into nothing, others spiraled into collapsing gravity pockets, and a few simply imploded without sound or light. The void drank them whole. Minutes stretched like a held breath. Then the map blinked, red signatures dwindling until only empty space remained. An officer stepped back from his console. Commander, the Dominion Armada has been annihilated. There are no survivors. No one cheered. The victory felt too immense, too absolute, too final. Rios broke the silence softly. It's over. Aria stood motionless. The hum of the singularity net faded. The black fleets slowed their synchronized movements. Prepare the broadcast, she said. The communication array rose from the floor. Aria faced its lens as if addressing the entire galaxy. This is Commander Aria Holt of Earth. The Dominion sent an armada to exterminate us. We responded. We will not apologize for survival. She let the silence settle. Let this stand as a reminder. Humanity seeks peace. But if forced to awaken old powers, the cost will be unbearable. The message transmitted across all major channels. Across dozens of systems, alien observers froze as the footage of the destroyed armada reached them, proof that humanity's reputation for passive diplomacy had been a mask covering something far older and far more terrifying. Aria closed the channel. General Morrow approached her. You know the galaxy will fear us now. She looked toward the stars beyond the window, quiet again, unmarred by invasion. They've forgotten what woke us once, Aria said. Let them remember just enough to keep their distance. The black fleets shifted into holding patterns, engines cooling like fading embers. Their presence alone felt like a warning etched across the void. Rios stepped beside her. Commander, what happens next? Aria gave a faint, weary exhale. We put them back to sleep. But this time, the galaxy will think twice before disturbing us. She watched the last traces of the Dominion dissolve into empty space. Humanity sleeps peacefully, she whispered. Do not wake us again. Outside, the stars flickered, calm, silent, unaware that Earth had once more rewritten its place in the galaxy. The old fury had done its work. And silence followed. Dawn rose over Earth with deceptive calm. From space, the atmosphere glowed in soft layers of gold and blue as if nothing extraordinary had occurred the night before. Cities resumed their ordinary hum. Children stepped into morning light unaware that the planet had survived extinction by a margin as thin as breath. Commander Aria Holt stood at the highest balcony of the Terran Spire, watching the sky brighten. The world below continued its rhythm while she carried the knowledge of how close humanity had come to annihilation, and what had been unleashed to stop it. Rios approached quietly, holding a datapad at his side. Reports from the colonies are steady. No signs of retaliation from any Dominion remnants. Other species are broadcasting neutral inquiries. Some, cautious admiration. Aria didn't smile. Admiration isn't what they feel. They're recalibrating. Trying to understand what we just revealed. Rios nodded. The black fleets are holding at designated coordinates. Singularity net has been deactivated. A moment of wind brushed past them, stirring Aria's uniform. Good. They've done enough. General Morrow joined them, leaning on his cane. His age weighed on him more heavily than ever, though his tone remained steady. The Council wants to meet immediately. They're rattled. They want assurances. Clarification. Explanations. They'll get truth, Aria said. But truth doesn't always soothe. Morrow studied her. Are you prepared for what they'll demand? Prepared, she said. But not certain they're ready. They entered the council chamber together. The 12 representatives were already seated, tension thick around them. No one looked triumphant. Victory over an invading armada did not bring joy. It brought questions, dangerous ones. Counselor Saran opened the session. Commander Holt, yesterday you exercised authority granted under emergency directive. Your actions stopped the invasion. But they also exposed classified forces to the entire galaxy. We must discuss the ramifications. Aria kept her posture straight. I acted within the limits the Council authorized. The Dominion intended to wipe Earth from existence. Standard defense measures were insufficient. Counselor Davin clasped his hands tightly. We acknowledge that. But the scale of devastation inflicted, the nature of the weaponry, it has altered how every species perceives us. Some of our allies are requesting explanations before they conclude Earth poses an existential threat. Threat? Aria asked. We acted in defense. If we allowed the Dominion to proceed, there'd be no Earth left to discuss. Saran interjected gently, no one is questioning the necessity. But the old Fury protocol was never meant to be used lightly. Aria met Saran's eyes. It wasn't used lightly. It was used because extinction was the alternative. Silence held for several breaths. Davin leaned forward. The Black Fleets, can they be deactivated completely? Aria shook her head. They can be placed into dormancy. But dismantling them would take decades, and we would leave ourselves vulnerable during that time. Counselor Mayan spoke for the first time. Commander, the galaxy fears us now. Aria exhaled softly. Good. Fear prevents repetition. A flicker of discomfort ran across several faces. Fear was not the image Earth had cultivated for centuries. Allies expected diplomacy, stability, quiet strength, not a revelation of weaponry capable of erasing armadas. Saran pressed her palms together. Commander, we ask you to outline a path forward. One that reassures the galaxy we are not preparing for dominance. Aria considered her words carefully. We will restore our diplomatic channels. Invite transparent dialogue. Emphasize that our objective remains peace. And we will offer limited observation of the Black Fleet's dormancy cycles to trusted partners. Davin frowned. You're willing to open them to inspection? Limited, she answered. Enough to ease suspicions without compromising security. Rios watched her, a hint of surprise in his eyes. She rarely volunteered openness, but she understood the stakes. Morrow nodded approvingly. A balanced approach. Strong, but not hostile. The debate continued for nearly an hour, adjustments, clarifications, security measures, and communication protocols. When it ended, the council dismissed them with a mix of relief and lingering uncertainty. Outside the chamber, Rios exhaled sharply. You handled them well. Better than I expected. Aria offered a faint smile. The council wasn't wrong. What we awakened is immense. They need reassurance. Rios looked at her. But what about you? Are you reassured? Aria paused at the question. Her eyes drifted to the distant night boundary still retreating across the sky. I'm relieved humanity survived. But I understand why the fleets were sealed. They change how we look at ourselves. Morrow stepped beside them. The burden of knowledge is heavier than the burden of command. You'll carry both now. Aria didn't dispute it. Later that evening, she visited the Orbital Vanguard platform, one of the few stations capable of hosting a Black Fleet vessel nearby. As her shuttle docked, she saw it through the viewport, a colossal ship, pitch black, silent, its hull absorbing every glint of artificial light. It hung in space like a shadow that had learned to breathe. Platform Commander Isha welcomed her with a crisp salute. Commander Holt, the lead vessel is stable. Systems are powering down. You requested private access? I need to see it, Aria said. They entered the central chamber. The vessel's core pulsed with slow, fading energy. Aria placed her hand near the control node. The ship recognized her presence, the hum softened, as if acknowledging her. I hope this is the last time I stand here, she murmured. Isha glanced at her. You don't trust them? I trust the necessity, Aria replied. Not the temptation. She stared at the massive warship. Its existence represented both salvation and danger. In yesterday's crisis, it had been essential. Today, its power felt like a warning etched across every star. Rios contacted her through comms. Commander, Earth is requesting a closing statement for the public broadcast. The world wants to hear from you. She sighed quietly. Patch me through. A holographic lens activated. Aria faced it with steady composure. This is Commander Aria Holt. Yesterday, Earth faced destruction. Together, we resisted. Many do not yet know the scale of what occurred. But understand this, humanity stands united because we refuse to surrender our future. We seek peace. But we will defend ourselves when threatened. We remain who we've always been, a people who endure. She ended the transmission. Isha watched her closely. That will settle many nerves. And unsettle others, Aria said. But truth has weight. Let the galaxy feel its gravity. As she prepared to leave the platform, she gave one last look at the dormant vessel. Rio's earlier question whispered back to her, "Are you reassured?" She wasn't sure. Humanity had woken something ancient. Something built from catastrophe and forged for survival. It had answered her call without hesitation. And it would do so again if commanded. Aria walked toward the shuttle. "Let the fleet sleep," she murmured. "Let the galaxy remain distant. And let Earth breathe." Below her, the planet turned slowly, wrapped in peaceful morning light. But above it, in the quiet darkness, the old fury waited, silent, dormant, unforgotten. And in that silence, Aria understood, peace was no longer simply lived. It had to be protected. The storm had passed. For now.